Be me, name is Barrett. 34 years old, founder and CEO of ClearPath Solutions. Sitting in my corner office looking at the quarterly numbers. Revenue up 340% year-over-year. 47 employees and growing. 3 major enterprise clients signed this month. Just got off a call with Montgomery, our lead investor. He's talking about Series B funding. Valuation discussions in the 9 figures. 3 years ago, I was an employee, writing code for someone else's vision, wearing someone else's badge. Actually, refusing to wear someone else's badge. That's how this whole thing started.
A badge.
A stupid identity badge. And a supervisor who wouldn't take no for an answer. Now I run a company that's crushing my former employer. Half their best people work for me now, including some of their biggest clients. Funny how things work out. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how a piece of plastic, with pronouns and identity categories, led to me building a $50 million company and watching my former employer slowly collapse. 5 years ago, I was a senior developer at Prism Digital, software company, about 60 employees. We built enterprise solutions for logistics companies. Good product, solid team, decent pay. I'd been there 6 years. Started as a mid-level developer. Worked my way up to tech lead. Managed a team of 8 engineers. Built some of our most profitable features. Clients requested me specifically on their projects. I was good at my job. Really good. Not bragging, just facts. My code was clean. My solutions were elegant. My team delivered on time and under budget. In tech, that's how you prove yourself. Through the work. The company had a simple culture. Do good work, treat people professionally. Nobody cared about anything else. Your background, your identity, your personal life. All irrelevant. Just deliver results. I loved that clarity. Your code spoke for you. Nothing else mattered. Then the company got acquired. Bigger tech conglomerate bought us out. New leadership came in, including a new supervisor for our division. Her name was Leona. 40 years old, came from the parent company. Background in HR and organizational development. Not technical at all. First red flag, right there. Non-technical person managing a technical team. Never goes well. First month, Leona observed. Sat in on meetings, reviewed processes. Asked questions that revealed she didn't understand what we actually did. But she had opinions about how we did it. Second month, she started making changes. New meeting formats. New communication protocols. Mandatory check-ins about feelings and well-being. Things that slowed us down. Without adding any value. But I kept my head down. Figured I'd outlast her. Bad managers come and go. Third month, she announced the identity initiative. Big presentation in the conference room. Called it Authentic Self at Work. She explained that modern workplaces needed to celebrate diversity openly. Not just tolerate differences, but actively recognize and affirm them. To do this, we would all be receiving new employee badges, identity badges, that displayed not just our names and roles, but our pronouns, our racial or ethnic identity, and optionally, our sexuality. She showed a sample badge, name, title, department. Then underneath, he/him, Asian American ally. That was the example. She said pronouns were mandatory to normalize sharing and prevent misgendering. Identity categories were strongly encouraged to celebrate our diverse backgrounds. The room was silent. I looked at my current badge. Just said Barrett, Senior Developer, Engineering. That's all anyone needed to know. To work with me effectively. Now they wanted me to wear my demographics, like a label on a product. Someone asked why this was necessary. Leona said visibility created belonging. When people saw themselves represented, they felt included. And when identities were visible, it prevented assumptions and microaggressions. Another person asked if it was mandatory. Leona said pronouns were required. Identity categories were expected. Strong expectation. Everyone would receive new badges next week. Must be worn at all times in the office. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something about the badges felt deeply wrong. I wasn't ashamed of who I was. Wasn't hiding anything. But I didn't want my identity to be the first thing people saw about me. I wanted my work to be the first thing. My contributions, my solutions, my results. Not what category I fit into. The badge reduced me to demographics. Made my identity more important than my abilities. I'd spent 6 years proving myself through work. Now a piece of plastic would speak before I did. And it would say things I hadn't chosen to share. With everyone who looked at me, badge distribution day arrived. Trays of new badges laid out in the conference room. Each one pre-printed based on HR records. Mine said, Barrett, Senior Developer, he/him. The pronouns were already there. Space below for identity category. Currently blank, but with a pointed emptiness. That said, fill me in. I picked up the badge and looked at it. Felt the weight of something I didn't want. Leona approached me. Noticed I wasn't putting it on. Is there a problem, Barrett? I said I'd prefer to keep my current badge. She asked why. I said I didn't think my pronouns or identity were relevant to my job performance. I'd rather be judged on my work. She frowned. Said this wasn't about judgment. It was about inclusion. Creating a welcoming environment. I said I've never made anyone feel unwelcome. My code doesn't discriminate. She said that wasn't the point. Visibility mattered. Normalization mattered. I said I understood her perspective, but I respectfully declined to wear the new badge. Her expression hardened. Said it wasn't optional. Company policy required the new badges. I said I'd continue wearing my current badge, which identified me sufficiently for work purposes. She said we'd discuss this further, and walked away. First meeting with HR happened 3 days later. Prudence from Human Resources. Nice enough person, clearly uncomfortable. She explained the policy was mandatory. All employees needed to comply. For consistency and inclusion. I asked what the consequence of noncompliance was. She said progressive discipline. Verbal warning, written warning, then termination. I asked if my work performance was relevant. She said of course, but policy compliance was separate. I could be the best developer in the world. But if I violated policy, there were consequences. I said I understood. But I wasn't going to wear an identity badge. My work should speak for itself. She made a note and scheduled a follow-up. Week later, I got my verbal warning. Official documentation in my file. Failure to comply with authentic self policy. Leona delivered it personally, with what felt like satisfaction. She said she was disappointed, had hoped I would come around, understand the importance of the initiative. I said I understood it fine. I just disagreed with it. She said disagreement wasn't an option. This was company policy. Resistance was itself a form of exclusion. I asked how my wearing or not wearing a badge affected anyone else's inclusion. She said it sent a message that some people were too good for the policy. That created hierarchy and othering. I said the badge itself created othering by categorizing people before they could show their work. She didn't engage with the argument, just reiterated that compliance was required. I had 2 weeks to comply, or the next step was written warning. I started preparing, not to comply, to leave. Updated my resume, talked to recruiters. Also started thinking about something bigger. I knew Prism's product inside and out. Knew its weaknesses, its gaps. Knew what clients actually needed, that we weren't providing. What if I built it myself? The thought wouldn't leave me alone. I had savings, I had skills. I had 6 years of client relationships. I had a reputation for excellent work. What was stopping me? Written warning came exactly 2 weeks later. Same meeting format, same people. Prudence looking more uncomfortable than before. Leona looking more certain. They documented my continued non-compliance, gave me a final 2-week window, after which termination proceedings would begin. I asked if there was any flexibility, any accommodation for my position. Leona said no. The policy applied equally to everyone. That was the whole point. I nodded, said I appreciated the clarity. That night, I made my decision. Started sketching out a business plan, the product I could build, the clients I could approach, the team I could assemble. 2 weeks of building in secret. During the day, I did my job. Still excellently, still professionally. At night, I built my future. Registered ClearPath Solutions as an LLC. Set up basic infrastructure. Started coding a prototype. The day before my termination deadline, I walked into Leona's office. Handed her a resignation letter. Effective immediately.
She looked surprised.
Then smug. Said she respected my decision, even if she wished I'd chosen differently. I said I respected her conviction, even though I thought it was misguided. We shook hands professionally. I cleaned out my desk,
said goodbye to colleagues.
Some looked sad, some looked curious. Theo caught me at the elevator. Asked quietly what I was planning. I said I'd tell him soon. He should keep his options open. 3 months of building. Working from my apartment. 16-hour days. Turning my prototype into a real product. Enterprise logistics software. Same market as Prism, but better architecture, cleaner interface. Addressing gaps Prism never fixed, because leadership was too busy with badges
and inclusion initiatives
and everything except the product. Month 4, I was ready for my first client, called Hendricks, logistics director I'd worked with at Prism. Good relationship, mutual respect. He took my call out of curiosity. I pitched ClearPath. Showed him the demo. He was impressed. Said this solves problems we've been complaining about for years. Why couldn't Prism do this? I said Prism had different priorities now.
He laughed.
Signed a pilot contract that week. First revenue. First validation. First proof this could work. Month 6, I had 3 clients. All former Prism customers. All frustrated with declining product quality, while leadership focused on culture initiatives. The irony wasn't lost on me. The badge mandate was supposed to improve the workplace. Instead, it drove away talent. That talent built a competitor. That competitor was stealing clients. Because the product was better. When you focus on work, instead of identity performance. Theo called me out of the blue. Said things at Prism were getting worse. More policies, more initiatives. Less focus on actual development. Good people were leaving. He asked if I was hiring. I said yes. He gave notice the next day. Celeste followed a week later. She'd been uncomfortable with the badges too, but had complied to keep her job. Now there was somewhere else to go. Somewhere that judged people on work, not on how well they displayed their identity. Year 1 ended with 12 employees. All refugees from Prism or other companies, with similar cultures. Revenue at $3 million. Profitable, growing, sustainable. Montgomery reached out about investment. Said he'd been watching our growth. Wanted to discuss Series A. We took $5 million in funding. Accelerated everything. Hired faster. Built faster. Sold faster. Year 2, we hit $12 million revenue. 32 employees. Started winning deals directly against Prism. Head-to-head competition. We won more than we lost. The product was better. The team was more focused. No badge mandates, no identity initiatives. Just work, results, merit. Prism started struggling. Lost clients, lost talent. Their product stagnated. While they spent energy on culture projects, Warren, their CEO, announced layoffs. 20% of the workforce. Blamed market conditions. But everyone knew the real reason. They'd lost focus. Prioritized ideology over innovation. And the market didn't care about their badges. Only about their product, which had fallen behind. Year 3. We hit $47 million. 47 employees. Major enterprise clients. Industry recognition and awards. Montgomery talking about Series B. Valuations I never imagined. Prism was acquired in a fire sale. Bigger company bought them for parts. Leona was let go in the transition. Warren too. The whole leadership team that had pushed the badges.
Gone.
Some of their remaining developers reached out, asked if we were hiring. We were. Some of them now work for me, doing the best work of their careers. Because they're judged on merit, not on how well they perform identity. I ran into Leona once. Networking event downtown. She saw my ClearPath badge. Just my name and title. No pronouns, no categories. She looked at it for a long moment. Then at me. Said you did well for yourself. I said I did what I had to do. She asked if I ever thought about whether I was wrong. About the badges. I said I thought about it a lot. Concluded I wasn't wrong. The work speaks for itself. She nodded slowly. Said maybe there's more than one way to build a good culture. I said maybe there is. We shook hands and parted. Just two people who'd made different choices. And lived with the consequences. ClearPath culture is simple. Do excellent work. Treat people with respect. Your personal identity is your business. We don't ask, we don't track, we don't display. What matters is what you contribute, not what categories you belong to. Some people think that's cold. I think it's liberating. Nobody's reduced to demographics. Nobody's prejudged by a label. Everyone gets to prove themselves fresh. Through their work, their ideas, their results. That's the meritocracy I always wanted. Now I get to build it. Every day. My daughter is 12 now. She asked me about starting the company. Why I left my old job. I told her the truth. They wanted me to wear a badge that said things about me that weren't about my work. I thought my work should come first. They disagreed. So I built a place where work comes first. She asked if that was hard. I said yes. But some things are worth the difficulty. Standing on principle isn't always easy. But compromising who you are is harder. In the long run. She nodded like she understood. Maybe she did. Kids are smarter than we think. Anyway, that's the story of how I refused to wear an identity badge with pronouns and demographic categories because I wanted my work to speak for me, not a piece of plastic. My supervisor gave me an ultimatum. I chose to leave and then chose to compete. Built a company from nothing, on the principle that merit matters more than identity. That work speaks louder than labels. That people should be judged on what they do, not what they are. 3 years later, that company is worth 8 figures, employs 47 people, and crushed the company that pushed me out. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted to prove something, that the old way worked. That meritocracy wasn't outdated. That focusing on work instead of identity built better products and better cultures. Leona thought badges would create inclusion. They created a competitor. Thought visibility would build belonging. It drove away talent. Thought identity came before ability. The market disagreed. Prism is gone now. Absorbed into some larger company. Their product deprecated. Their team scattered. Their culture experiments abandoned. ClearPath is thriving, growing, innovating, succeeding, because we focused on what mattered. The work, sometimes the best revenge, is building something better and letting success speak for itself. Quietly, confidently, through results. That's the only badge I wear now. Founder and CEO of a company built on principle and proved right by the market.